Let's start with the big story that we are tracking on WION at this hour. Lying about election results, getting indicted twice in the span of 4 months, and also hurling abuses at his opponents. Everything seems to be a blessing in disguise for Donald Trump. Things that any other politician would avoid ahead of a presidential runoff have in fact worked in favor of the former American president. So what is the Trump factor? An average of opinion polls now suggests that he has a lead of about 37 points over his nearest rival, that is the Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. Now look at the poll for yourself. No one else in the crowded field of about 14 candidates comes anywhere close. The first indictment that came in the month of April this year was the first for a former American president. But rather than denting Trump's image, it actually seems to have cemented his position further. While the political clout looks intact, the financial standing not so much. The Trump, in fact, took in about $53 million since the beginning of 2023, and much of it reportedly has been used to cover costs related to the mounting legal expenses. The data shows that Trump's network of political committees spent roughly about $25 million in terms of legal fee, and insiders say that the number could be much higher. A lack of cash could, of course, force his campaign to make some difficult spending decisions, something that Trump has never been too elated about. Also, more legal woes await him. 2 more indictments could be on the way for trying to overturn the electoral results. For now, though, Trump seems unbothered. His Republican base is still devoted to him, so he's doing what he does best, and that is attack his opponents.
We have somebody that's not at the top of his game, never was at the top of a game, never was. We have a guy who's a dumb son of a bitch, and to allow this to happen to our country.
Now, the numbers don't mean that it's predictive of the final result. Elections are still 15 months away. For now, though, it suggests that Joe Biden's failing to capitalize on Trump's shortcomings, and Biden needs to assemble his blue men and strategize his end game. But the question, of course, is, can he really do so? And to give us more insights in terms of how all of this is, of course, playing out in American politics, we are being joined by Mr. Stephen Golub, who's a political analyst and a lawyer. He's joining us live from California. Mr. Golub, we heard what Donald Trump had to say. He used some pretty choice, abusive words to describe the sitting American president, Joe Biden. But this still does not seem to be denting the image that Donald Trump has amongst his devoted Republican followers. What explains this?
Yeah, he certainly seems to be getting stronger right now, at least with respect to his Republican opponents, and even in terms of national polls regarding Joe Biden. They're about even in the polls, which is remarkable considering his track record of undercutting democracy, being on, having been found liable through a trial of committing sexual abuse, as you stated, impeached twice, inciting insurrection, already facing trial for very serious national security violations, endangering national security, 2 more trials regarding undercutting democracy looming. I think a big part of his appeal is in the very negativity of Donald Trump. He brings out the worst in people in some regards. He has vowed that he is their instrument, his supporters' instrument of retribution, and it's retribution against what he portrays as coastal, that is West and East Coast elites. Not so subtly against minorities, against immigrants, against people who are considered woke, that is excessively, to their view, to his and his supporters' view, progressive, to all sorts of things that he's viewed as, that he persuades his followers, or that his followers already feel are undermining their view of America. Right. So the appeal is in the very negativity that he articulates.
It's interesting that you point out that his appeal is in the very negativity that he articulates. But also try, for viewers who are watching this from outside of the United States, try help us understand as to why this billionaire, who's not come clean on the taxes that he needs to file, is also so extremely popular with the working classes in the United States.
Yeah, great question. There's real irony here in that many of the policies he's espoused actually have hurt the working class or will hurt the working class if he's elected. Just to pick one example, his efforts to undercut national health care or our semblance of a national health care program called informally Obamacare. That would hurt many, many people in the working class, yet he's popular with them still. And it's because those bread and butter issues, those economic issues, as important as they are to people, are often trumped, as you will, by kind of the social issues that he's asserting, that he doesn't want these supposed elites or foreigners to be supposedly controlling our country. That is a big part of his appeal. And another part of this picture, the flip side on the Democratic side, is that for all of his accomplishments, and Joe Biden actually is arguably the best president the United States has had in terms of policy accomplishments since before the birth of India in the modern era as an independent state. Joe Biden has been very lousy at communicating, including communicating those accomplishments.
All right, very interesting. Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Golub, for joining us and getting us all those insights there.
Thanks for having me.